Ready scheme. So over to you.
Great morning. Thank you, Sally. Morning, everyone. My name is Simon Numford. I'm Managing Director of AA Media, and together with my colleague Natalie, who looks after our Visitor Ready scheme, I just really want to spend a few minutes talking about our new scheme. So just as way of introduction, so I've been with the AA for 26 years now, involved in quality. Obviously, we run the AA schemes across the whole of the UK, quality schemes, which we're entering our 117th year this year as the original creators of the Star Rating Scheme. And for the last 8 years, we've operated the Visit England quality scheme across England under contract. So last year, just to set the scene, we looked to modernise the quality schemes. So that saw us bring in a three-tier system for industry. The star rating scheme, which some of you may be familiar with, was recalibrated from 1 to 5 stars to 3 to 5 stars based on quality and context. We introduced a new level of accreditation called Quality Assessed for those businesses that wanted to undergo an assessment and be eligible for all the different awards we operate across the Visit England and AA schemes, but didn't necessarily want to be marketed under a star rating. And finally, as an entry level, we created something we're calling Visitor Ready, a brand new entry level scheme for the whole of industry. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Just a little bit brief background. Before my time with the AA, I spent 10 years operationally in predominantly hotels and restaurants, a large part of which was in the Cotswolds. So I did my hotel management degree at Oxford Polytechnic. I worked in a hotel just outside of Oxford in Woodstock, and then opened a restaurant from scratch in Moreton Marsh. So I'd lived in the Cotswolds for many years and have many fond memories. I live in Bath now, so still on the edge of the Cotswolds, a great area to live and operate. So if we could have the next slide, please, Natalie. So, Visitor Ready, brand new scheme, which has taken us probably 2 years to ideate and bring into existence, which we launched in February last year. It's accessible to the entire hospitality industry. So, under the consumer interactions of eat, stay, and visit, if you're in one of those sectors, then you can apply for this scheme. It's a completely free digital accreditation, so there is absolutely no cost to the scheme. It will just require some time from your point of view. It's a completely online process. It's quick and easy. We've got a little video to show you in a minute, but if you have your documentation ready, for most customers, for a single business, it should only take about 20 minutes for you to go through. But we have Natalie and a team of people on hand to help you if required. It's robust and credible, and I'll tell you why that is. But it's not fully automated. It's not a self-assessment. We check all the documentation ourselves. It verifies essentially key mandatory requirements for most businesses. So that would be public and employment liability. It would be your fire risk assessment. It would be a gas mask certification where appropriate. It would be food hygiene where appropriate. It would verify a number of other key requirements such as GDPR, inclusivity and diversity, and also get businesses to sign up to a consumer charter. It also provides a secure digital wallet, which means business owners can keep all of their documentation in one place securely. And importantly, the system will remind you when your documentation is up for renewal, and that's really, really important to make sure that all your documentation is up for renewal. And we found, from an industry point of view, a very useful tool for business owners. And we'll also inform you of any legislation updates as and when they happen. So, for example, the Food Standards Agency decide to bring in a new requirement, we would automatically make you aware of that. And it's been born about to give a trust mark for consumer confidence, where I think lots of consumers automatically assume businesses have this level of compliance, when invariably sometimes these businesses don't. So it's actually to use as a digital stamp to show to your customers that you're visitor ready. So I think we're going to move on to the next slide, please. And we're going to show you a video here, which hopefully articulates what I've just said about the scheme. So if you could play the video, please. So I hope that brings to life the scheme, its simplicity. As you can see at the end, we've developed this in conjunction with industry. So it's not something we've just developed ourselves. We put a lot of time and effort. We had an external quality advisory board helping us with the modernisation of the schemes anyway, and also sense checking Visitor Ready was fit for purpose. That include organisations like PASC, the B&B Association, and various others in the industry to ratify that. And we've had most of the leading trade organisations supporting Visitor Ready as a brand new scheme. And what we've been doing through Natalie's work is really linking with Visit England and the whole LVEP community, local visitor enterprise partnerships, and many of those, I'm delighted to say, are starting to use this as a really good tool, as you can imagine, to be able to say to all of their customers that obviously all the establishments in the area are visitor ready. As I said, it's an absolutely free service. There is no cost to it. The only cost, if you want to have a presence on our website, which is ratedtrips.com, which has a very strong referral link. We link directly onto establishments' websites from that. You can trade up to a Visitor Ready Plus, where you'll get a web presence as well, and that would cost you £120 a year, £10 a month, if you choose to do that, or you could just have the digital badge. So we launched at the beginning of last year. So we've had a really good response already, working with, as I said, quite a number of the LVEP community in partnership, which is really great to see. Natalie, if you move to the next slide, we've got a few actual businesses within the Cotswold area which have applied and have actually got the accreditation. So the first one here is Coles Cottage. I think Christine, it might be on the webinar today.
I
Um,
am. Can
oh,
you
hi,
hear me?
Christine. So I think
Hello.
you joined us in July, which is fantastic. So I don't know if you just wanted to share firsthand what you thought about the process and
Yes,
etc.
yes, because I heard about it through PASC,
Okay.
where you gave a presentation there, Professional Association of Self Caterers.
Yep.
We have been very visitor ready since 2005 when we first had our first holiday cottages, and Coles Cottage came on board in 2010. So you might think that visitor ready probably wasn't something that we needed. We're 5-star gold through Visit England, have been for a long time. But one of the things that I've always found frustrating is I wanted to get over to our guests that we have all of the compliance things. You know, they can see all of our lovely gardens, lovely house, but I wanted to get over that, you know, we have the chimney swept regularly, we do have a fire assessment and all of
Brilliant.
those things. And it was a way of sort of doing that. So the thing that I really liked was your Visitor Ready logo that says visit with confidence, because I don't think there's anything else like that. And so we put that on the front of our website where we put our 5-star gold and any other awards we've got. And I think it's a nice, neat way of telling guests that, you know, they can have confidence when they book and stay with us. It was really easy. The fact that it was free was definitely a plus because, you know, it's quite hard. There's always things that you need
Of
to
course.
spend money on. And yeah, we got it really quickly. I've now been in the scheme long enough that I've had one of the prompts that
Oh, okay.
I did know that my insurance was coming up. But I mean, you know, when you're busy, it's always nice to have those prompts. So yeah, I found it fantastic,
Well,
and
thank you
we'll
so much
keep
for
doing it.
sharing that, Christine. That's really helpful. And obviously, Visitor Ready actually was an ideation from actually COVID, because obviously during COVID, we generated our COVID confidence scheme, and obviously the tourist boards created the We're Good to Go. And it was really from that idea that we came up with Visitor Ready, saying actually what industry needs is something that does show a level of compliance, but obviously we wanted to make sure it was free of charge. So hopefully everyone in hospitality could actually get behind it, because I'm a great believer the more critical mass we can get behind this, the more the consumer will start to
Yeah.
recognize this badge. And what you said is really, really important. And it's the nuance of minimum requirement, legal requirements, is that for the system to be robust, your public liability, your fire risk assessment, your food hygiene, if it's appropriate, all of those other pieces they all lapse at different stages. And that's why we created a system which means, it has to be kept up to date, because that's the whole point. from that point of view. And hopefully, the feedback we've had is the system's really helpful. I think we all as consumers think, we always forget when when's the motor insurance due for renewal? When's our home insurance due for renewal? It's a really handy tool, and you're all busy people. We're all busy people, so you can sometimes forget about that. And Natalie will tell you firsthand the amount of applications we've had actually where they've submitted their documentation and haven't realised that one of their pieces of documentation is actually out of date. So that's again proves that it's a good need for the scheme from that point of view. So thank you for that. And Natalie, if we can move on to the next slide, what we've got to do is just a couple of other testimonials of people within the Cotswolds that have applied and have written some nice things about it. So this is Stonewell Cottage in Cheltenham. And again, found that the sign-up process was very easy and was able to secure my badge with minimum hassle. So we put a lot of time and effort to make sure the system is very user-friendly. We have real people at the end of the phone to help out if someone gets stuck at the same time, but hopefully it is pretty simple to go through, upload your documentation, and obviously get the accreditation in normally, depending on the volume of applications we're dealing on a weekly basis, would be normally within 48 hours that you get the badge in that respect. But importantly, obviously, if any of the legal requirements lapse, we temporarily lapse that accreditation until such time that we get the renewal document, which is normally pretty promptly anyway. And Natalie, we go on to the next slide, please. Some two other businesses, both from Cheltenham here, Park Farm Cottages and Knott Grove Estate. Again, sort of really mirroring what Christine said about the credibility of the scheme, and it's a nice consumer signal to identify that you are legally compliant, which I think is not fully understood by all consumers. It's just it's sometimes it's just a perception. They think that a business would automatically be covered on all the legal requirements, where it's not. So yeah, a really good tool. Next slide, please, Natalie. And as you can see, a variety of associations there where that have supported. Christine mentioned PASC, which is the Association of Self-Caterers, Bed and Breakfast Association, for example. We've got another Hotel Brands that supported the process. You've got the Institute of Hospitality, UK Hospitality, our trade body for the industry, and a variety of other sort of associations there, HOSPA, Mastering Holders, Stay in a Pub, National Trust, that have all supported our scheme and welcomed the scheme to its fruition. So that's the end of the presentation. Very simple. I didn't really want to bore you by PowerPoint. Obviously, if you'd like to apply, just go to visitorready.com and go through the process. Again, it's pretty simple. But if you do have any questions, you can obviously reach out onto our email address there. Natalie will share her details as well if you've got any details. What we do, if you're a single business, you can just go through that yourself. If you have more than one business, if you've got up to 10 businesses, again, you can self-serve that yourself. If you're a business that's got more than 10 properties, you can speak directly to Natalie and we can help you bulk upload information. Because sometimes we're dealing with a group that might have 50 pubs, for example, or 50 self-catering units, and we can help do some of the work on that for you as we move forward. And we're on the phone to answer any questions you might have. So thank you, Natalie, for just sharing your email address there. So Sally, I think that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, happy to answer any questions that anyone might have before
I was going to say, Simon, if we can just be clear on which businesses are you welcoming? Because I know,
Yeah, sure.
again,
Good question.
I think there's a new range rather than just focusing on the accommodation.
Oh, absolutely. So obviously the quality schemes historically have focused on the sort of well-established cohorts of self-catering, hotels, bed and breakfasts, etc. So we've broken the new scheme into obviously those consumer activities. So if we take the first one, accommodation, so that's all the traditional cohorts that I've talked about, but anything that's accommodation related. So that could be exclusive use venues, that could be a campus, that could be short-term let, could be anything that provides accommodation, essentially. That could be glamping, yurts, teepees, all the sort of alternative accommodation, which we've seen a fairly strong explosion of in terms of different variety of accommodation. So that's stay. Eat would include anything that obviously is involved. The main part of the business is eating. So obviously anything from a independent restaurant, chain restaurant, quick service restaurant, to we've had some inquiries from street food providers, for example, cafes, independent cafes. Anything from that point of view could be included in Eat. And basically, if you are a business that's multi-facilitated, we would suggest you go down what your primary businesses. So if primary business is accommodation, Ply is an accommodation provider. If your prime reason is a restaurant, apply to Eat in the Eat section. And obviously Visit, which is our last section, which is probably the broadest category in fairness. So again, if we look at our quality schemes, you would naturally gravitate to anything that was a visitor attraction. But this could be anywhere a consumer could go to visit as a leisure activity. So that could be a cinema, that could be a bowling alley, that could be a soft play. It really broadens the reach of Visitor Ready. So anywhere that accommodates visitors, so it's much broader than the quality schemes have been in the past. And all the other derivatives you can think of. I'm sure there's others from that point of view, but it's a place to visit that's still related to hospitality and tourism. So back during when we had the COVID confidence scheme, we had things like tattoo parlors wanting to join the scheme, which wasn't in our thing. So that would be one from that. I've got a designer outlet, potentially a shop we could look at. We've actually had some queries about whether transportation could get involved in Visitor Ready. I think we want to focus on obviously the core of hospitality to begin with, but that's other things we're thinking about at the moment as we start to branch out.
Perfect. I think that's really helpful, Simon. And I know the Cotswolds has quite a few sort of farm shops and things like that. So under
Absolutely.
the
Fantastic independent farm shops, independent businesses. I think I've just seen something come up on the chat in terms
yeah,
of a temporary business. We haven't, I think that's probably a little bit more challenging because of its nature, temporary, and the legislation that it might meet. It's not something, I mean, we're open to see if there's a demand for it, but we're kind of focusing our attention first and foremost on fixed businesses that are open for a period, if that makes sense. So obviously a lot of temporary pop-ups can be part of an existing business as well, that might then develop an alpine lodge for Christmas or an ice skating rink, as per the suggestion on the chat.
yeah. Has anybody got any other questions to throw in for Simon or Natalie at all? I mean, your video is very clear, and the website, we've looked at it obviously as destinations as well. We know the businesses, and thanks very much to Christine for speaking today, but also Tiana from Park Farm Holiday Cottages as well, who I know is part of the scheme. Lisa, you've got a question, go for it.
Hi, just a really quick one. I might have missed it actually, but obviously you get your Visitor Ready digital logos put on your website. Is there anything physical that you can put, say, in a shop window, visitor attraction window?
We haven't gone down that track at the moment, Lisa. It might be an
Right.
iteration moving forward when we have critical mass. But obviously, because the scheme is completely free of charge, we've invested a lot of money in the system and the people to
Yeah.
drive that. The concern, obviously, if you have a badge and then someone becomes uncompliant because they're lapsed, you have that issue moving forward. But I think once we're into thousands of businesses achieving Visitor Ready, then because the other question I've been asked, well, what sort of marketing are you doing from a consumer point of view? It's kind of chicken and egg. We really want to make sure that industry are embracing this fully. We've got a really good critical mass on that, and then we can do lots of different consumer campaigns along with all of the LVET community who are trying to drive this as well. Can become a really strong message for actually come to visit the Cotswolds, actually go and visit any of our members, because you've got the assurance that they're always legally compliant. It's a really nice, strong consumer confidence message to make. We're not at that place yet, but it's definitely something we've been asked about. But you can understand probably the challenges of having something that then someone doesn't take down, even though they've become uncompliant for whatever reason.
Yep, completely understandable. We've got our quarterly members meeting next week. So I work for Visit Cheltenham. So we will make sure, I'm trying to think of questions that will come up in that meeting. So we will make sure we pass all of this information on. Thank you, Simon.
And we're very happy if you want to contact us, if you want us to join another meeting, very happy to do so. We're all about strong engagement across industry. We are ultimately a relationship business. We work very closely, as you can probably see, with trade organisations, regional and national tourism across the UK. That's dear to our heart in terms of being a quality standards bearer for the industry and working very collaboratively.
Brilliant, thank you.
And so if there's no further questions, I'm going to stop the recording now and say thank you very much